Hello everybody and welcome to the ITK Soccer Show. It is the 21st of April 2015 and it's myself and Dan here in the pub. So it's the ITK Soccer Show in the pub. We decided to come down to our local Old Orchard Inn here to watch the Porto Bayern and the PSG Barca Champions League deciders. Bayern are currently 2-3 on aggregate after scoring a goal. Thiago getting one back. And Dan, you know, this is the first podcast, if it works and the audio quality is good. So, again, everybody who's listening, this is a work in progress. Hopefully it is. But this is the first podcast as brothers-in-law. What do you think of that?
What do you think of that? So we're at the pub. In the pub.
Yeah, in the pub. I don't know if we can do this as a regular. John is away being funny somewhere else. He's in Galway because they really appreciate his humour there. I don't even think they have Tesco in Galway, so I don't know how his jokes are going to get over, you know. But we're going to go over everything that has happened recently. Obviously, we've missed quite a few shows due to me being married and going on a honeymoon and stuff like that. Special version of This Ain't Fake Brother is coming out this week with all my WrestleMania stories. So I'll link that at the bottom of the ITK page as well. Let's start off with the FA Cup from this weekend. I guess the biggest stories coming out of it. On Saturday we had Arsenal against Reading, and Reading put up a hell of a fight before Alexis Sanchez dealt the final blow. But it wasn't just Alexis Sanchez that was due to Reading's downfall, was it?
The goalkeeper, Federici, he's a longer serving player, and it was very sad. It was just like, no, because he plays so well. Do you see some of the saves he made? They were very, very good. I don't know. Reading deserved more, but it was almost like they were never they needed luck and they didn't have it.
Well, you bring it up like that. I suppose from our vantage point, we were watching it as well as the Manchester United-Chelsea game, and we were very much more excited about the Arsenal-Reading game because it had gone to extra time at 1-1, and it was just one of those stories where you thought the FA Cup was going to deliver on an underdog story. You might be able to argue that did happen on the Sunday, but not to the level of Reading beating Arsenal. Everybody who was commenting, and we just have a second Bayern goal, which brings them level on aggregate and ahead on away goals. Does that Boateng?
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. See, watch it in the pub has some sort of benefits here, and there's some lovely ambience in the background. I'm hearing in my headphones anyway. But anyway, back to Federici. Every pundit who covered it and everybody who was covering the FA Cup and subsequent games on Sunday just kept talking about how devastated he was. It's really hard to be a goalkeeper sometimes.
Well, Szczesny had a bit of a howler. He got away with his. But one of the key players, right, was Gabriel, the defender they brought on, because he actually cut out a great counter-attack from, I think it was Gareth McCleary running through and Simon Cox, I think, were running through for Reading, and he cut it out, and then literally Arsenal went up and the howler happened. So it could have been completely different because Reading had a right go. A good manager there. They'll be good next year.
Okay, moving on to the second game, touch on it briefly. Aston Villa versus Liverpool. It was basically a fairy tale waiting to happen if you were a Liverpool fan or an admirer of Steve Gerrard. He was starting his first game in 11 matches, and just back from the suspension obviously as well. It didn't work out for him. Brendan Rodgers did call him excellent, but Villa won 2-1 after Liverpool went ahead due to a Philip Coutinho goal. Liverpool just never looked in it, to be honest, after they scored. Nobody looked like a star player, but somebody who did was a young man called Grealish. What are your views on the matches and his subsequent call-up to the Irish squad if he decides to declare?
He hasn't declared, and this nonsense stopped very, very quick before people get hurt. He was at the Irish Awards.
Sorry, we're just looking at Burnett and Quaresma having a bit of a scuffle. Go on there, Dan.
So he was at the Irish Awards there like 2 months ago for the Player of the Year and all that, and he was asked the question, "Oh yeah, you playing international football next year?" "Yeah, I'll be playing next year." "Oh, he's declared for Ireland." Yeah, he never declared for anyone. He was just there for the scoops, and he got Young Player of the Year so we can convince him to join us. He's had one good game in his career. Yeah, it'd be good to get him because we know players, but it's more where is this guy? Who is he like? You know what I mean? There's no reason why he's going to play for us. All he's going to play for us underage. That's all. So I'm not holding my hopes up, and I'm not going to be that disappointed either, to be honest.
Well, notwithstanding who he declares for, but just looking at it from a a young starlet who has a couple of international options. I think people would debate the idea that he's only had one good game. Most are saying that since Tim Sherwood took over at Aston Villa, Benteke hasn't been the only person to have a renaissance. Featuring Grealish has been a huge part of Villa's turnaround. He played the number 10 role, which Sherwood really has always said that he doesn't really bank on. So in order for Sherwood, when winning anyway, to change his style to accommodate this young lad who looked as comfortable as anybody else playing in front of 80,000 people, I don't know if you can say he's only had one good game, Dan.
The Jack Grealish hype will start now. That's what's going to happen. So it's like, just calm down with this guy for a minute. He's okay. He looks, look, we've got no players, so I'd take anyone. But you know what I mean? It's not like, I think what's going to happen is he'll wait for England. He won't get a call up because he's playing for Aston Villa. So he won't get his call up. Then he'll come crawling back to us, and everyone will hate him. That's what'll happen. Could be 2-3 years and see what happens. But yeah, I would try and get him capped, because if he turns out to be shite, at least we capped him.
We're 6 games or so away from the end of the Premier League season, and going off this FA Cup contest, there's a lot that can be said for both teams. Sticking with Aston Villa and the Tim Sherwood era, is this pretty much a lock that they're going to be able to fight their way out of relegation? And if so, is Tim Sherwood going to be able to get them back into the top half of the table next year?
No, not top half, no. But you and John were very pessimistic with his appointment. I was like, he's kept them up. They were going down with Lambert.
Yeah.
So with him gone, that means they've played much better. They're gonna. It was not a gamble. It was like, let's get someone who can motivate them and actually get them playing, because they didn't want to play for Lambert. So it's almost like he's doing a good job, and I think they're not going to go down this year with him. Not the way they're playing, and they've got the confidence now in the FA Cup. It's not a distraction. I hate when people say that, because if you're in a cup and you go, oh, that's a distraction. Yeah, but it could be another defeat. That deflates the team. Oh, that's true.
Okay, so it's 3-0 Bayern, 4-3 in aggregate now. Lewandowski with a goal there. I told you this was the right game to watch.
Yeah, I agreed. No, but yeah. So it's like, yeah, Villa are fine. So like, well, it's like they just needed some motivation and stuff, and someone to get Benteke confidence up. You know, Vyman, Shay Given playing actually very well in goal. Like they just needed a lift. You know, so I think they won't go down, but I wouldn't be expecting top 10 there next year. Like they still have players like Joe Cole and in the team. They've got. Like if they lose Delph, who by the way is brilliant, I've seen him play since he was 17 for Leeds, and you could tell in League One when he was 17 he was running the show. So
he's just signed a long-term contract though. Is that posturing?
Pavel Nedved signed a new contract in May 2001, and then left for Lazio. No, left Lazio for Juventus when Zidane left a month later for 35 million. So it doesn't win much.
You said that myself and John were a bit pessimistic about Tim Sherwood's appointment. Like, in all honesty, for me, it was a case where he had a really nice spell after he took over from Boas at Spurs. He got some people playing. It's kind of incredible that a young manager like him, inexperienced, is able to get people with egos, as in Adebayor, Benteke, back to really good form. We've seen after his departure, Adebayor has gone by the wayside again. Benteke seems really comfortable with him, the first manager he seemed comfortable with since the close to the end days of Martin O'Neill. What does Tim Sherwood offer, and were myself and John completely wrong to be pessimistic in your view? Do you really see him getting the hype that people lauded him with when he turned Spurs' season around?
He didn't necessarily. I just thought he was a guy who kind of had a lot of good, he had good ideas, he had good ways where he thought of the game, he was old-fashioned, get the best out of the players and motivate them. Tactically might be amazing, but like I think he was liked in the media as well. That was always going to help him. Maybe you and John especially John thought that what's he done? He didn't do a bad job at Spurs though. His record against the top teams were poor, but he got them playing again. Like they were going absolutely nowhere, and he helped them a little bit. And he did bring through some young players like Harry Kane. He did give him. I think he might have given him his first kind of run of the team. Not much, but he gave him a bit of a run. I know I don't like him, man. Josh Townsend, Kyle Walker. He's actually responsible for average on player. Bentaleb, I like him. He's actually alright. So he does give you the chance. So he's been good for them. And fair play to Villa. They're a big team. You don't want big teams going down. Even though I kind of want them to under Lambert. That's ironic.
Moving on to Liverpool and what they have left. Obviously, top 4 seemed like a real possibility a couple of weeks ago. Not so much now. I want to hear your opinion on top 4 and them moving forward. But obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I've got my own opinion. When it comes to Brendan Rodgers, it seems like an incredible season, the best and worst within the space of 6 or 7 months. He spends a terrific amount of money on nobody significant. They don't prove anything towards the start. And then when he plays them out of position, in a losing effort to Man United, the season turns around. They go 11 games unbeaten. The loss to Basel and the exit from Europe in general seems like a distant memory. And the idea of Steve Gerrard lifting the FA Cup on his 35th birthday and us getting fourth place seems like a fair end to a really bad start. Going back to that tactical change, he changed the formation 3 times within the FA Cup final. Brendan Rodgers has been criticised as somebody who can make a change that's necessary, but has never been able to win the games that matters. And I really unfortunately think that that's a very fair assessment. Would you agree? And talk about their top 4 hopes now.
You're not good enough. That's the main thing. I've always said this. It's like, I tipped you guys not to be top 4 at the start of the season. Like, you don't. Suarez was your world beater. He was the guy you had. You've no go-to guy. There's no world-class player in that team. I include Sturridge, I include Sterling, I include Coutinho. They're good players. They're not brilliant players. They'll get you a win. If you need a win against Chelsea or even you see what Arsenal did to you there like a couple of weeks ago. Man United there on form Man United. Big game again. Villa, they're okay. They'll give you a game. But FA Cup, massive game again. I wouldn't necessarily blame the manager. I'd blame a lot of the players. Like Gerrard started. I know there was one or two injuries, but I wouldn't have started him personally. I just think you can't run. Like in a big game like that where you had Delph and Cleverley and Westwood, 3 very young guys who will run and run and run. Mightn't be the best players, but they can't.
Well, the thing about Brendan is that although he was very kind of gracious in defeat and complimentary to Aston Villa, the one thing he did say about Liverpool in a positive light was that Gerrard had an excellent game.
Liverpool's best player was Balotelli when he came on, arguably. So, I know obviously he was on side, but that's neither here nor there. You were the second best team, but going to next year, you need a new spine of the team. I don't like Skrtel at the back as a leader. I don't like Henderson as a leader. Sturridge you can't trust as the number 1 striker. He needs help. The Sterling thing, I think you need to get wrapped up. I think if he wants to go, sell him. I don't see the point of hanging on to him if he doesn't want to be there. I think he's an ego. I think he could be a bad egg if he wanted to be. Maybe he's still got a bit dodgy goalkeeper. You need a full-back. You've got a lot of dead wood still there that need to go. I think the main thing is, though, the 3 lads in midfield you have next to Lucas, Allen and Henderson, you need to address that. That is nowhere near good enough for a top 4.
There is definitely going to be an issue there, considering that Liverpool came second last year and weren't able to get marquee players. I don't think coming 5th and reaching the semi-final of a domestic cup that a lot of teams don't really seem to care about too much is going to be any more of a draw for foreign players coming in. When you look at the academy or upcoming players, Jordan Ibe is a bright spark. Amir Khan, if he is moved to midfield next year on the condition that we do get somebody to replace him in the back 3, that's somewhat of a good idea. But everything you've said about the general midfield that we currently have now and the strikers, that's not something I can disagree with. You did touch on Raheem Sterling. Obviously, he was offered supposedly $100,000 a week, which isn't bad for a 20-year-old player. Has yet to accept that. He still has a year left on his contract after this summer. So if Liverpool do want to fed off any bids, they can. Rumours coming out today, though, that Jordan Henderson has signed a $100,000 a week contract. So he's going to be taking the captain's armband next year, whether it's going ahead or not. But that's enough about Liverpool. Man City's downfall. We'll go into the Premier League results now. They beat West Ham 2-0 at the weekend. But in general, where do you see them finishing? And mostly my question would be, where do you see Pellegrini being next season?
I see them in top 4. They've too much quality not to finish there. Even no matter how badly they play, they can still beat the crap in the Premier League. I don't know about Pellegrini now. I wouldn't sack him personally. I don't see what he's made 1 or 2 dodgy decisions. Well, he can't do it if his players aren't going to try. If you go against some teams off to Crystal Palace, for example, who were fighting for everything, like even though they're mid-table, they're fighting. If you've got 11 fighters and about 1 or 2 on the other team, but at a mad crowd, you can't. It's very difficult to win that matches, no matter how good you are. So now maybe you could say he's not a good motivator, but he won the league last year. He finished second with Real Madrid with the highest amount of points ever to finish second in the league. It's still a record. He nearly won the Champions League with Villarreal. Got to the quarterfinals and was very unlucky to get eliminated by Dortmund at Malaga a couple of years ago. He's a good record.
Yeah.
What do you want him to do, like with mercenaries and old players and players who don't care? Give him a team who he wants to pick. He's a good manager. Now, if you sack him, he'll go to somewhere else. I don't know where he'll go, but whoever gets him, he's a good manager. And I think he's getting a lot of unfair criticism. Like, you take like Yaya, Nasri, Clichy, Navas, Fernandinho, Fernando, Sagna. These guys, like Sagna left Arsenal and we're to win trophies. He just won the FA Cup at Arsenal. And Alexis Sanchez signs and he leaves.
In all fairness, though, Sanya had 4-0 now. Thomas Muller with the fourth goal for Bayern Munich, 5-3 now in aggregate, and this is classic Bayern, even without Robben and Ribéry. Going back to the point about Pellegrini, though, or even Sagna, he said, he wants to go win trophies. This is a man who played at Arsenal for several years without winning them. So I don't think you can. I don't think you can fault him for. If anything, he would look kind of hypocritical if he just made that statement, won the FA Cup, and decided to stay. Anyway, that was a very, very lame goal. It looks like a deflection from Thomas Muller's effort, and it was indeed, sending the keeper the wrong way. Back to Pellegrini. You say that, what can you do with mercenaries? Well, what can you do about repairing the team if there's a financial fair play issue intact? My point being, a lot of people are talking about Jurgen Klopp. He is announced he's leaving Dortmund at the end of this season. People want him in the Premier League, the media do, so there's always going to be a spin on it. But in terms of bringing somebody in with the financial fair play issue intact who might be able to turn the current squad around, Jurgen Klopp?
Klopp is good. He's good, and forget about this season. What he's done there, he's beaten, one of the best teams in the last decade. He's beaten one of the best teams in the last decade to a league trophy twice. Let's not forget that. So it's very interesting the way people say, "Oh no, he's 10th or 11th in the league this year, or whatever. He's struggling for relegation." So I think a big thing is get him in. Someone will get him. Like a thing you could really do with Arsenal is Wenger to move upstairs and get Klopp, but I don't think that's going to happen. Klopp, I always thought maybe going to Man United. That's not going to happen now with Van Gaal. So it's an obvious thing, and he said he doesn't want to take a sabbatical. But I still think the guy they wanted was Pep Guardiola. But he wouldn't go near that club. He wouldn't go near it. There's no tradition, there's no history, there's no massive fan base. Well, there's a fan base, but a lot of it is just like buying a lot of stuff. He doesn't believe in that sort of thing, and it's kind of like a Bayern Munich is perfect model for him sort of thing. So Klopp obviously be great, but there's no young players. For all the money they've spent, people say they're doing great community work and great things around Manchester. They've nothing coming through. They've got a guy called Polo came on earlier in the year. The young striker. He came through, but he's a Brazilian. Like, he didn't come through our ranks. Boyata is the last player. Jeddah Boyata, who's their fourth choice centre half to come through, is our last U player. Like, there's nothing there. Like, there's nothing happening there. And Patrick Vieira now, he have him for a shot for a job, because if he's going to know the philosophy of the club, what he's doing backstage, apparently he's good. But you got to go for Klopp.
Yeah, I would kind of agree to an extent. Obviously, Lampard will be moving on next year. He was crucial in the first half of the season. Yaya will be a year older and coming off his second successive season of faltering when it comes to the end run. Just given the treatment of Pellegrini, and maybe the fallout with Tevez and Balotelli had a lot to do with their decision, but given the treatment of Mancini after him not winning the title the next year, it seems to me that if City do come forth, the inevitable will be that he will get the sack. But that's just my opinion, King. Okay, Newcastle and Spurs, 3-1 at the weekend. Spurs are, they're kind of very much like Liverpool. Well, they'll beat most people. They won't beat the bigger teams, obviously except for the rout against Chelsea. Get to the Chelsea match in a minute. Palace and West Brom was 2-0. Any thoughts on either of those games?
Palace, West Brom, and what was it on?
Spurs and Newcastle.
Newcastle didn't try a leg, and that's not actually an exaggeration. They did not try and a leg. So Spurs, well done, winning 3-1 against a team who really made Yaya Toure look like fucking Dirk Out. So then West Brom, Palace, couldn't win for West Brom. first defeat in a long time for Palace. Before the weekend, Palace were the 4th best team on form in 2015. This is coming from a team that was managed by Neil Warnock in Christmas, my favourite manager. So I told you, by the way, he was shite, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, well done. By the way, Parrish is doing that. I said when he left Newcastle, they should be, thinking what they really are. Because I'm not saying Parrish is a world beater. And it's
5-0, Robert Lewandowski getting his second goal of the evening. So that's 6. Is that 6-3 on aggregate?
40 minutes.
5 goals in 40 minutes for Bayern Munich. Who would have ever doubted them? Moving on, Everton beat Burnley 1-0. Leicester beat Swansea 2-0, which was a very positive result for them coming into the end. Say that again, Dan?
3 wins in a row.
3 wins in a row for Leicester. Stoke 2-1 over Southampton. Okay, so we don't have a QPR result, but all things considered, I'll put you on the spot now and ask you, who's going to be in the bottom 3?
I don't like Hull and Sunderland's running. I'm going to say Sunderland because, saying the running again, didn't Wigan get out of a mad situation a couple of years ago? Like they beat Liverpool at Anfield. They should have beaten Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They beat Arsenal. They beat Man United. And they went to all the big teams and they won. So I'm going to say Sunderland because I think they've actually probably been, along with QPR, the joint worst teams in the league. And then I'm going to go QPR, and it could easily be Hull. I think Burnley will just go. They try so hard. It's just, if Ings doesn't score, Ashley Barnes now got sent off against Everton. That's another suspension. Just think maybe. So I'm going to go Burnley, just QPR and Sunderland.
Chelsea and Man United, we watched that. Now, Jose's team has come under a lot of criticism over the last few months because of the style of football that they're playing, or the lack of football that they're playing. And regardless, they're still churning out results. A very, very late win last weekend. This weekend, beating Manchester United by 1 goal. But more than ever, this system that Jose plays, which has come under criticism, it works, and it works against the bigger teams. Man United have put a hell of a run together. Zuma absolutely nullified Fellaini. Chelsea really didn't have that many chances, and they did. Eden Hazard put away the chance he did have, and they pretty much stopped Man United from creating much. I don't think that Fellaini coming in, I don't think that Falcao coming in was actually the detriment to Man United. But either way, if this system works, especially against the big teams, especially against a team that was in 3rd place going into this contest, it's not really something you can argue against, is it?
You can't bet against Mourinho in a big team, a big game. That's the thing with him. I don't think since he's taken over at Chelsea for the second time, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's lost against one of the Man United, Liverpool, Man United, Liverpool, Man City.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost in 2 years. Now, I know he's got Arsenal this week. Wenger never beats Mourinho, but that could be 2 years against the top 3 or 4 unbeaten. He's just got this knack of winning it. Like he said he wants, he's getting over the line because I think his team are tired. The PSG game deflated them completely. I think they were shocked by that. The performance alone, the result. And, if you're going to play like that and you got Arsenal kind of breathing in your neck, you got City faltering. They saw City falter. They took their foot off the gas. Not complacency. I think this is tiredness. Costa's injured. Remy's injured. Drogba's kind of not fit. The learn on Hazard. Cesc, I think, he's looking tired a bit. So there's a few things there, but they'll get there in the end. And I wouldn't fault Mourinho. He knows what to do. Like if you was offered any team, do you want to win the league ugly? Okay, they'll win it.
Exactly, and you did mention Drogba. Drogba actually could be a doubt for the game against Arsenal this weekend. So it's going to be interesting. But either way, is it 9 points ahead at the top?
I think it's 10. But there's the league there.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I do have it in front of me. Yeah, we did actually bring notes to the pub, and we have a little sound system set up here on our table. Thankfully, there's no louds. I was saying to Dan that the chances of a fucker right in the pussy were going to be. I kind of actually am disappointed we're not going to get one. Maybe I can throw my voice and pretend to do a run in. Chelsea are 10 points ahead of Arsenal, and the goal difference is also 8. So either way, it looks like a surefire bet for Chelsea on the run in here. Okay, switching gears to the Irish League, which actually started up a while we took our little hiatus from the show. Dan, you had a huge write-up on the League of Ireland blog about it was the Dundalk and Rovers match, and you were there live in attendance. Talk us through how the league has started for the contenders, and give us a little bit of a Reader's Digest version of last Friday in Tala, which you seem to enjoy so much.
I did. So essentially, Dundalk are champions, as some of you know. Dundalk are champs. Cork were second, beaten on the last day in it was actually a shootout between Dundalk and Cork in the third round of matches. And so it's actually the winner took all really in that match, and Dundalk won that 2-0 last year. So Dundalk, Cork and Pats were top three, then Rovers fourth. Those four are already breaking away, so you can see the kind of pattern again. Dundalk and Rovers had a humdinger match. It was an incredible match. It was attack. Red card, great football, 4 goals. Both fans, credit to the club. It was very packed house. At least 5,000 there. It was really good. It was just a shame RTE didn't put it on. But they're showing. I think Dundalk are playing Cork this Friday. So they're showing that. So Dundalk Cork could be. Depends if Cork want to play or not, because they're still kind of they're a bit of a Mourinho team. But even though they got Colin Healy and Liam Miller midfield, they've got probably about 30 caps each. Well, not each, but in total for Ireland. So it's interesting enough. But Dundalk are still looking very, very good. Very, very good. But Rovers definitely closed the gap from last year. I think it'll be between Dundalk and Rovers come the end of the year, but Dundalk are going to take some stopping.
Just one more note on Chelsea, actually. A very interesting stat came out today. The kind of watchdog of the trials and tribulations of ill behaviour when it comes to teams. So basically, when more than one player swarms a referee and somebody gets booked or somebody gets warned to be booking, it's called an initial offence. When somebody does get booked, it's called a second offence. Okay, so I think 2 points are attributed to a second offence, 1 point attributed to a first offence. The team who had the most offences against referees this season were
Chelsea.
And the team who had the least offences against referees this season were
Arsenal.
Liverpool. So we have topped the table once this year.
Very good. Yeah, I'm delighted. But maybe Jared might win something.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know if you saw the pictures that John sent to our ITK group where we...
Was Jared crying or was he drunk or what was he?
He looked so despondent. He has a new hairstyle, which he's wearing out, with a little bit of a parting quiff to the side, but he was absolutely devastated. It's just half-time here in both Champions League games.
Does he wear loafers without socks?
No, he doesn't.
Sack the stylist.
Yeah, sack the stylist. We'll get that. We should have got them in. They would have liked to come to the pub. Anyway, yeah, there's some pictures floating around of Steve Gerrard looking absolutely miserable, of course. It is really, really sad, and I think I'll wait till John's here and we can interrupt each other to talk about it properly, but it's a terrible crying shame.
Do you think Gerrard will start again for Liverpool? I know if you're not getting top four at the last day, obviously he will play captain and obviously takes the penalties and everything anyway, but do you see him starting again if you're running on for top four? In theory, he's your... If Henderson, Lucas, Nolan are fit or whatever way you want to go in that midfield, he's not going to get in. And that's not against... I'm not slagging him, but... He doesn't have the legs. I don't know. I don't see him starting a game unless there's nothing to play for.
Yeah, no, I actually think it will basically be Rodgers playing his hand. If Rodgers thinks that fourth place isn't an option, he'll do a lot of sentimental Gerrard moments. Oh, Gerrard's last time away at Stoke in the last game of the season. Gerrard's second last time at Anfield. His last time at Anfield. He will do these little sentimental moments, because he probably feels that I don't think Gerrard's on suicide watch or anything like that, not to be crude, but I think every little helps. So, yeah, I think Brendan's philosophy or mentality when it comes to how much we can achieve this year will be shown by how often Gerrard does start from here on out, because obviously, as you know, the suspension has been lifted, so he's free game now.
Yeah, I don't know, I still wouldn't play him, but, everyone will miss him. Man United fans and Everton fans, maybe not, but... I think any neutral, or especially Liverpool fans, but neutral like myself, you can see what he's done for the club, and he was very loyal. And I don't like the way people say, "Oh, he rejected contracts, this and that." He's 30. He's 35 in May. Look at Raúl. I think he's really one of the biggest one-man club of all time at Madrid. the king of Spain for years, Madrid's best ever player, well, probably until Zidane, Ronaldo and all them came along, but, you know, he was there until, 34, he went to Schalke, then he got his payday, he went to Qatar for a year. Leave him to it, if you're not going to get a game, you can't play at the highest standard. Jamie Carragher took the alternate route and just retired to finish out on top of his good, but Jared wants to live in Beverly Hills for a while with his wife. Leave him to it. Don't slag him, please. Nobody slag him.
Just really quickly, and I've got no inhibitions about you not being truthful here. But as a complete and utter neutral, maybe even driven away from the warmth of Liverpool due to being surrounded by people who are constantly nattering on about them, would you rather see Gerrard lift the trophy on his 35th birthday and last match for Liverpool, or could you care less? You like stories in football. Come on, just say yes.
He wouldn't necessarily have started. He would have come on and lifted the trophy into the John Terry on it, but
it's not quite a John Terry.
But you'd like to see it. But I don't really care who wins it. To be honest, but obviously it'd be nice to see him do something. But I think now the only thing you can do is maybe if you can get a goal in a cup, maybe or something, or a goal in Anfield. His minutes are very, very limited now, and I'm just letting you warn you that now before your eyes start to tear up there now.
I've accepted it.
Oh, well, you've accepted, that's alright, yeah, okay. He's not playing again.
Yeah, well, as soon as I, saw us go out of the FA Cup, and I accepted it. Arsenal have hired Michael Johnson, former Olympic sprinter, to help with their speed and endurance in the youth team. This is kind of Arsenal. This is a very American football tactic where they'll bring in outside sports personalities for talks and stuff, but to actually hire the man is quite interesting. This is after the recent revelations that Walcott and
Hector Bellerin
are faster than a lot of Olympic trials, and then they were challenged.
Challenged by, who was it?
I can't remember his name, but it wasn't Michael Johnson anyway.
No, it wasn't him, no. No, but they have been challenged. But Bellerin, apparently, is as quick as, anyone, that's probably with the ball, I don't know, or without the ball. But
yeah, it's a straight sprint trial.
He does look very quick, but obviously they wouldn't be trained in an actual sprint, you know what I mean? He could run it, but if you were to go in your tenterhooks or whatever you call it, and you have to go up and go, you wouldn't be able to, the initial acceleration you wouldn't have. So there's no chance he'd win, but I think he was second favourite behind your man. Walcott was a far third distant. So, yeah.
Okay, let's get to the awards, and we're going to actually pause the show after the awards, and then we'll come back when the Champions League is finished, and we can give our preview of tomorrow night and our review of tonight. Spoofer of the week we'll start with. No, do you know what we want? We'll start with goal of the week. Do you have one?
Yes. Mikey Drennan for Rovers on last Friday. It was a cracking goal.
Okay.
It was a cracking goal. If you're listening, Mikey, great goal. You already retweeted me, so you obviously listen to the show. But I know it was picked up on the right hand side. Andy Boyle, the defender, tried to hack him, bring him down, shoved him off, and blasted the top corner from the edge of the box, from the angle of the box. It was a great finish. Obviously, I was getting a buzz as well, but honestly, that was a worthy strike to win any game. It was 2-2 in the end, but it was a really good goal. Really good.
Okay, hero of the week. I'll go first. My hero of the week is Zinedine Zidane. There was a charity game that was played 2 nights ago, French side whose name escaped me, against a lot of stars from the World Cup winning France 98 squad. But on that squad as well was Fat Ronaldo. He scored Fat Ronaldo. They threw him in. He scored 3 goals. He almost scored an absolutely ridiculous goal. And all the assists were Zidane. Zidane was just incredible looking.
Say how fat Ronaldo. It's literally he must weigh about 15 stone.
Legitimately overweight, yes.
He weighs more than Seth Rollins or something.
Say he weighs more than Keller. What's his name? Do you remember?
Big Show.
No, not Big Show. Okay, who's your hero of the week, Dan?
Lionel Messi. He seems to always get at this, but he scored 400 goals for Barcelona this week. You can't really not give it to him. So yeah, I think Messi, 400 goals, big 2-0 win over Valencia. That's their last hard game. They've got Espanyol away, which is a Catalan derby. That's a very, very tough one. If they can get through that, they've got the League One, because Madrid still have to play Valencia and Seville away, I think. So they've got 2 or 3 tough games themselves. So I think Barca might just go on now, because Valencia actually, by the way, gave them a right go. I tweeted, Graham Hunter tweeted, the guy on Sky Sports, he tweeted that they were getting a terrible time. But Valencia were killing them. Like, they missed a penalty. Bravo saved the penalty, and they were like, oh, PK doesn't don't panic. You know, PK is defending, don't panic. It was Dad's Army, Corporal Jones thing. And then I tweeted, of course, back to Graham Hunter. He retweeted it, of course, because it was hilarious. It's like PK doesn't like it up him, you know, and all this. Like, it was just, they were all over the place, but they got away with it. But you know, Messi, by the way, dropping too deep.
Yeah.
Far too deep.
He'll be asked to. Rakitic has had a pretty shy time as of late, so they need help. Yeah. Okay. And finally, before we take a quick respite, and we'll reconvene here at the end of the two fixtures tonight in the Champions League, your spoofer of the week, Dan.
Two spoofers. Niall Quinn is one. He said Man City are back to their best after beating a West Ham team we didn't want to beat there. 2-0. So he said, I can see them coming right back to their best. One good win. Well, one win in what? No, they've had 5 wins in 15 games, and one of them is against West Ham, and I'm still there. I'm going to be started on that. And then the second one was David De Gea for celebrating when Rooney hit the ball wide, and he was celebrating in front of everyone. He turned around, and Courtois was taking a long ball out from his kick. So that was kind of ridiculous. It was kind of funny.
In all fairness, a lot of the people in the ground thought it was a goal. It's a big stadium, Dan.
Yeah, a fan can think it from like miles away, but he's on the pitch, like, and he can see the expression of his teammates. Like,
rumours that David De Gea has agreed in part a deal to go to Real next year. You've watched a lot of Madrid. Do you think that it's time that they get him in? And if so, do you think he'll go?
It's up to Casillas, in my view. I don't think that they'll just go, let's just buy De Gea. Like, Casillas isn't going to sit number 2. Like, I know he did last year with Dario Lopez, but he won the Champions League. He played every cup game, so he actually won the 2 trophies they were part of in the cup. He won the cup and Champions League. So I don't see him sitting there behind De Gea for the whole season again. They do need a new keeper, but they can't just throw him out. It's very difficult to do that. Sometimes there's such a long time. I think maybe not this year. I think next year, 50 million Madrid.
Okay, excellent. We'll take a respite, and we'll be back with the rest of the show in just a second. So, we're back here on the show, and we've just watched a shellacking Bayern Munich against Porto. The final result in the Allianz Arena is 6-1, which means 7-4 in aggregate. It was not the second half that the first was, unfortunately, and when Jackson Martinez scored, Dan went wild, hoping that we'd get some sort of a miracle comeback. But Barca also won 2-0 against PSG. PSG had a far stronger lineup than they did in the first leg. Ibrahimovic and Verratti were among the lineup, which they did not have in the first leg. But considering that they beat Barca in the knockout stages, over the 2 legs, what's the score? It was, I guess, 5-1 over the 2 legs.
5-1.
So PSG must be pretty disappointed. Anyway, first off, Bayern and Porto, did you expect to be this much of a comeback?
I thought they'd win. I wasn't really ever convinced they weren't going to win. They had too much quality regardless, with a few players injured, but 5-0 after 40 minutes was a battering. But Porto's keeper didn't help much, and they were, as soon as the first one went in, the second one went in, they got him in blitzes. So if you against a team not in blitzes, you can't do it. It's 5-0. Porto not put back in their box, but it was like still Bayern Munich, guys. Jesus, they're going to beat Porto over 2 legs. They had a bad but the first game though, 2 of the first goals in the first 10 minutes were Bayern Munich defensive slips. They weren't actually Porto carving them open. It was the crowd got up for it. Porto had to go with them, and Alonso slipped, and I think Dante slipped or something as well. It was the same as a Man City match. It was defensive errors. That's how you're going to get up Bayern. Sorry, have a go with them and just get out their back forward and have possession. That's it.
Yeah, besides the Alonso free kick, which was the 6th goal of the evening, and the Lewandowski header, you could kind of put the goalie at fault for almost everything else. It wasn't a great showing by Porto at all. They had absolutely no answer to that. So Bayern march on through, and 7-4 in aggregate is an interesting result considering the first result coming out of Portugal last week. So Barca 2-0 with 2 Neymar goals. We had the second Champions League match in a row for Barcelona where Iniesta got subbed off for Xavi, which is interesting. It must mean he's been carrying a knock for a while or something like that, because neither time did it seem tactical. But PSG must be slightly disappointed, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's Barcelona. Barcelona playing very well. They've lost once, I think, in 2015 to the Real Sociedad. I think it was in this year. So they've won, I think, 90% of their matches early as well. So against that strike, that's three lads up front. I don't know. I just don't see. And also, the damage is done conceding 3 away goals in the first leg. You know, Verratti and Mata were the 2 biggest losses. Thiago Silva going off, Ibrahimovic not there, so they lost their defensiveness, their organisation. So David Luiz leading your defence against Luis Suarez. No thanks. No Mata to hold and control, dictate a game. Verratti to have those killer passes and just he's a quality player. And then Ibrahimovic is your talisman. It's lost in the first leg, but PSG will be disappointed. But they played a team, even though they beat them earlier in the year 3-2. They beat a Luis Enrique team who didn't know what they were doing back then. Now they've more of an idea. Messi's happier. Suarez is settled. He's playing. He's scoring massive goals. You know, Barca will be hard to stop, but PSG, you know, Barca are the better team.
Looking forward to tomorrow. We have Madrid and Atletico. Madrid were able to hold out a 0-0 draw away from home. Now it's at the Bernabeu, and it's going to be very interesting to see Atletico's answer. 1 goal would be enough, even if Madrid had an answer for it. So who do you see coming out tomorrow in this derby?
I don't know. I'm honest. It was the hardest one to call, and I don't know. Real Madrid haven't. When I say Madrid, it's Real. They haven't beaten Atletico in 7 games. Now, Ancelotti has never beaten Simeone only in the Champions League final. That was thanks to a last-minute equaliser in the 93rd minute. So in over 90 minutes, they haven't beaten them. No Modric, no Benzema, no Bale, no Marcelo. There's a chance. There's a definite chance for Atletico here. If Atletico score first, they'll win it. I think Atletico will score as well. Last time they played them was at where the roundabout was in the cup. Torres scored twice. They beat them 3-1. There's definite chance here, but I don't know. It's just so hard to call. It's too hard.
Yeah, no.
It's the first time ever I'm actually been like, I can't actually give you a prediction of this because Atletico perfect for a 0-0 at home. But now away, Madrid are going to have a go. They can get them on the break like they did last time. But what do you think? I want to hear your opinion on this because I can't call this one.
Honestly, considering the Madrid injury woes, I remember even last week when we knew Marcelo was out of the tie and people calling for Bale to drop in at left back and stuff like that. He's not even involved now. I would say Atletico really do have a very, very fair chance. In terms of a Champions League tie coming in to the Bernabeu, I would say Atletico have as much of a chance as anybody.
Modric is the big player missing.
Yeah. So I'd go with Atletico, and how far they go after that is a different question. But the other tie tomorrow is Juve versus Monaco. Juve got an away goal in France last week. And Juve are really just sailing high, 13 points ahead in Serie A. Totti came out this weekend and said that playing Juve over the last 2 seasons is like playing a team in a different league. And he means that kind of, I guess, with the utmost respect to the league that made him a star. But he's also being a realist. And he's also talking in reality sense, saying that maybe Italy isn't the best league. We all know that. Juve don't seem like a team from Italy at the moment. They're flying high. They still are without Pogba, which is a big loss. But their midfield is so unbelievably secure these days. And Evra's really fit in and become like Liechtensteiner. And it's kind of strange to say that considering Evra's the person with tenure. But in terms of the role that needs to be played with their lineup and their formation, they really are firing on all cylinders. And last year, people thought, giving their results at home and in the Coppa Italia, that Juve should have gone further. I think Juve in the semi-finals of the Champions League is just about the level where they're at now, and I'd be kind of disappointed considering I don't think they'll have this kind of team again in the future. Pogba rumours in the summer, people will always try and maybe link Vidal with big teams as well. Marchisio could even leave Italy if the right offer came in. I think it's Juve's time, at least to get this far. Would you agree?
I know you're a big fan of Italian football, but Juventus versus Barcelona would be really, really interesting. Because it'd be just with Barca, like literally 3 lads up front. You know, and Juventus are more gone to a 4 at the back, haven't they more this year? Yeah. So they could even go to a 3 at the back again if you try and nullify it, go 5 at the back literally. But that'll be interesting. But I don't know. I think, are they the 4th best team in Europe behind Madrid, Barca, and Bayern? I don't know. I'm not so sure.
I can't say they are, but at the same time, I can't say that they don't have it if they need it. If you look at the centre and you look at Pereira and Pirlo, Vidal, Marquisio, Pogba, they've got an awful lot there, and Tevez is running amok. And a great boost to Juve. Everybody thought that Tevez would be going to Boca Juniors next year, but it came out actually yesterday that Tevez is going to do 1 more year at least at Juventus. So that's a nice boost for the team, and he is a world-class striker. Nobody can take that away. So Juve against anybody is very interesting, especially because they do have the capabilities, you said, to line up 5 at the back if needs be.
I think they're definitely, obviously, of course, they're contenders. They're no mugs. They're an Italian team, like they can defend. They know how to win. Maybe is it a lack of pace in the team? Maybe out wide. I don't know. I think if they're playing this, if they play 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 or whatever they play, I just think they're lacking proper width. Now maybe again they're just going to be compact and just difficult to beat. But I don't know. It'd be interesting anyway. Like I'd love to see Juventus do well. Like they haven't threatened to do anything in Europe. They got to the final of 2003 where they defeated by another team, AC Milan, which is the worst final of all time, by the way, on penalties. And then of course they were always threatening every year, pretty much since the inception of the Champions League. But that was the last time we really saw Juventus actually even near, to my knowledge. And so I don't know, it's interesting. So, but one more thing about the Madrid derby: there's a serious chance Pepe is starting in midfield to try and kick lumps out of Thiago and Gabi to try and give them one back. But so that's another interesting thing at the Madrid match: Pepe in midfield.
Well, no, it's very much a possibility considering what they have. Like obviously,
have him or Khedira. That's it.
Yeah, well, like Cruz could push forward. You could still have Khedira in the midfield. But, who else have? Like, the Ilmar Mende or Isco to come in. But they do need to replace Benzema and Bale as well. So the idea of Pepe coming in and Varane and Ramos being the centre-backs is definitely obvious. Looking at Bayern's formation tonight, they did something very similar to their play last year and Liverpool's play last year, where the defensive midfielder would fall in to make it a 3 at the back, where when the left and right back, who don't start as wing backs, basically become wing backs, and that's very much the Juve mentality. So Pirlo can drop in between Bonucci and Chiellini, and Brazalgi's there as well if needs be. But Vidal also comes in for support. We're getting the answers to this table quiz, by the way, that we've been a part of as well. So yes, we did that in the interim. But either way, it's very interesting that Juve can have these many options as well. I do like to think that they're contenders, but before we get carried away, and even though that we have 2 more quarterfinals to be decided tomorrow, looking at tonight's performances and last week's performances, who do you tip to win the whole thing?
I tipped Real Madrid at the start of the season to win it. I said Barcelona will not win it, and I'm changing my mind and I'm going Barcelona because I just think the 3 of the guys up front are... Neymar got 2 big goals today. He hadn't scored in a while. Big games. He hadn't really done much. If they get Iniesta back fit, he's very important. They need him in there. They've got much more solidity at the back. Much better balance. Dani Alves back from suspension. He'll always help. Messi's on form. They're the team to beat. And I didn't think I'd say... I'll hold my hands up. I said even by Christmas, no way they're going to win it, but you got to look at form as well. And I think they would beat Bayern. I think they'd beat Bayern. They beat Real Madrid not so long ago. They beat Atletico Madrid 4-2 at the Calderon. And I think they'd be good enough to break down Juventus.
Fair point. Obviously Bayern have Robin Ribéry to come back as well, which could make a big difference, and Sebastian Schweinsteiger. But we will see. It is an exciting Champions League. We have some very exciting teams, and if the last 4 are Madrid, Juve, Bayern, Barca, it's anybody's call in my opinion. Obviously Juve being a 4th favourite, but it is anybody's call. Thanks very much for listening this week, everybody. We don't have the ITK fantasy football ahead of us right now. Dan, do you know for a fact if you're number 1 or not?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we will touch on that next week when we have John Carroll's return. And why not have a gimmick show as our first show back
here in the Old Orchard Inn. If the audio quality is acceptable, we might do something like this again. It was very nice not being able to interrupt each other, and I think it made a nice flow to the show. And hopefully it sounds good to you guys at home. If you enjoy the show, please do share and tell people about it. Make sure to like the post if you do listen to the video when we put it up tomorrow on the 22nd. Until next week, we'll be back with all the latest football news and reviews on the ITK Soccer Show.